Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into, well, a collection of notes, articles, and excerpts, all about the temples of Himachal Pradesh.
Ah, yes. A fascinating topic for sure.
Yeah, so our mission today is to explore those temples, their architecture, the history, and of course, all the legends and stories that surround them.
Sounds like a journey almost.
Exactly. So, picture this. A tiered, pagoda-style temple built entirely of wood nestled in the Himalayas. That's the Hidimba Devi Temple in Manali, built way back in 1553.
I've seen pictures. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Dedicated to Hidimba, right? From the Mahabharata.
The one and only.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is how the temple reflects changing customs. Animal sacrifice used to be common there, but now it's all about vegetarian offerings.
Makes you wonder about how those kinds of traditions shift over time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now imagine a temple where the deity is worshipped through eternal flames that come right out of the rocks.
The Jwalamukhi Temple.
You got it. And legend has it that even Emperor Akbar himself couldn't put those flames out.
Tried and failed, or so they say. I think the Jwalamukhi Temple is believed to be one of the Shakti Peethas, right?
Right, those sacred sites where parts of Sati's body fell after,
Yeah. And each Shakti Peetha represents a different aspect of the goddess Shakti. At Jwalamukhi, it's believed to be her tongue, the flames, her divine energy.
So each Shakti Peetha is like a piece of a larger puzzle, representing the fragmented power of the goddess.
Exactly. A powerful concept, isn't it?
It really is. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the artistry, the craftsmanship.
Ah, yes. Think about those intricate carvings.
Exactly. The Baijnath Temple, a Nagara-style temple, is a perfect example. It was built in the 13th century and has these incredibly detailed carvings, almost like a visual storybook of Hindu mythology.
The Nagara style is really prevalent in North India. You can spot it by those curvilinear towers, often covered in ornate carving.
And the stories. Didn't you mention a legend about Ravana at the Baijnath Temple?
Ah, yes. Legend has it that Ravana himself, the demon king from the Ramayana, actually worshipped Shiva at that very temple.
Seeking immortality, wasn't he?
So the story goes, it really adds a layer of complexity to the temple's narrative. Makes you think about how even figures who are considered, antagonists in Hindu mythology can be woven into those sacred stories.
It just speaks to the fluidity of myth, I guess, how it can accommodate different, even conflicting perspectives.
Yeah.
Okay, but we've been talking about Nagara style. What about some of those other architectural styles we see in Himachal Pradesh?
Ah, yes. There's quite a variety, actually. Take the Kapkuni style, for instance. They're these amazing wood and stone structures built to withstand earthquakes.
Really?
Yep. Like the Bijli Mahadev Temple. Clever adaptations, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. The architecture itself tells a story about the people who built those temples, their challenges, and their ingenuity.
Absolutely. Oh, and we can't forget the Masrur Temple. It's carved entirely out of a single rock face.
Wait, a whole temple from one rock?
You heard that right. Sadly, it's believed to be incomplete, which just adds to its mystique. A real testament to the vision and skill of those ancient artisans.
Wow. So you mentioned captivating legends. Any you can share?
Well, how about this? The Bijli Mahadev Temple, the Kathkuni style one, remember? Legend has it that the Shivalingam in that temple is struck by lightning every single year.
No way.
And then, get this, the priests restore it using butter.
That's incredible and a little bit dramatic, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. It's a striking image, and it kind of speaks to that whole cycle of destruction and renewal that's so important in Hindu cosmology.
Right. Okay. Any others?
How about the Trilanath Temple? It's a site revered by both Hindus and Buddhists.
Oh, interesting.
And the legend goes that the Shiva idol in that temple miraculously transformed into a statue of Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion in Buddhism. Two faiths converging right there in that temple. Pretty amazing.
A physical representation of the blending of those two belief systems. That's fascinating. Is that kind of syncretism common in the Himalayas?
Oh yeah, you see it quite a bit. And it's not always just Hinduism and Buddhism. The Riwalsar complex, for example, is revered by Hindus, Buddhists, and Sikhs, all coexisting peacefully.
Wow, that's remarkable. It's like a testament to the tolerance and open-mindedness that you often find in those mountain communities.
Exactly. It really highlights how beliefs can evolve and adapt over time, blending, borrowing from one another.
So we've been talking about the architecture, those incredible legends, but what about the people, the human element?
Ah, yes, of course. We're talking about kings who commissioned these grand structures, merchants who funded them, and even, according to legend, the Pandavas themselves.
Right, they supposedly built some of these temples during their exile.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the local communities who have taken care of these temples for generations. The customs, the festivals, they're all part of the soul of these places.
It's amazing to think about the countless generations of people who have kept these temples alive,
It is. And those festivals, they're more than just religious celebrations, They're opportunities for those communities to come together, reaffirm their shared identity, celebrate their heritage.
It's a beautiful cycle, connecting the past to the present. Any particular festivals stand out to you?
Oh, there are so many. Each temple has its own unique set. For example, the Hidimba Devi Temple, they have a huge fair every May. It's all about celebrating Hidimba's contribution to the region.
And I bet Dussehra is a pretty big deal, especially in Kulu, right?
Absolutely. Kulu Dussehra is truly something special. They have this tradition of bringing deities from all these different temples together in this massive procession to honor Lord Raghunath.
Wow, it's no wonder they call Himachal Pradesh the land of the gods, huh?
You said it. The divine seems to be woven into everything there.
Absolutely. But you know what? I think we need to take a break here.
Sounds good, Tui.
We'll be back soon to dive even deeper into the world of Himachali temples. Stay tuned.
Can't wait. It's amazing how many layers there are to explore when it comes to these temples.
Right. We could talk about this stuff for hours.
We probably could. And since we were just on the topic of those Shakti Peethas, there's another one that I think we should talk about, the Bhima Kali Temple in Sarahan.
Oh yeah, that one was in the notes, wasn't it? That's where Sati's ear fell, right?
That's the one.
But
what makes it really interesting, I think, is the way it blends different architectural style. It's got that Kathkuni style, those layered, fortress-like designs, but there are also elements of Buddhist architecture in there. It creates this really unique look.
Another example of that cultural fusion we were talking about. It really shows you how much the region has been shaped by all these different influences over time.
Definitely. And the Bhima Kali Temple, well, it was really important to the local rulers. They used to go there to ask for blessings before going into battle.
So it wasn't just a place of worship, it was a center of power too.
Exactly. It shows you how much these temples were tied to the political and social life of the community.
Okay, so we've talked about some individual temples, but what about temple complexes?
Oh, well, we can't forget about the Charasi Temple Complex. Talk about devotion.
Yeah, 84 shrines. I was reading about that one. It must be quite a sight.
It really is. It dates back to the 7th century, and each of those shrines is dedicated to a different aspect of the divine. It's like a whole mini version of Hindu cosmology in one place.
It's like a little pilgrimage all in one spot.
Exactly. And at the center, you've got the main temple dedicated to Lord Shiva, in his Manamahash form specifically. That form is linked to the Manamahash Lake, high up in the Himalayas. Pilgrims often bring back water from the lake as an offering.
We've talked about water a lot. The lake, the flames at Walamukhi, even the legend of Renukaji turning into a lake. It's like water has a really deep significance in the region.
You're right, it makes sense too. Water is often seen as this purifying element, a symbol of change, renewal. And in Himachal Pradesh, with all those rivers, lakes, and glaciers, water really does shape everything. The landscape, the spirituality, everything.
It becomes part of the spiritual consciousness of the people. Speaking of the landscape, what about the Chakari Devi Temple? The one with no roof. That always struck me as interesting.
Yes. Truly unique. They say the goddess herself wanted it that way. No roof. It creates this incredible feeling of vulnerability, of being open to the heavens.
Imagine standing there, exposed to the elements, surrounded by the Himalayas. It must be quite an experience.
Oh, it is a direct connection with nature. And while we're on that theme, the Renukaji temple dedicated to Lord Parshuram's mother, well, that one really highlights the link between the legends and the actual landscape. It sits on the banks of Renuka Lake, and the story goes that the lake was formed when Renukaji herself transformed into water to escape her enemies.
It's like the landscape itself becomes a part of the story.
Exactly. And this isn't just about grand stories with gods and goddesses, it's also about the communities who live in those places,
Right. We were saying how important the local people are to these temples. What about the way they keep those traditions alive, passing them down over generations?
These temples, they're not just tourist spots or museums. They're living, breathing centers of faith. And the people who live there, they're the ones who keep them going, organizing festivals, performing rituals, sharing those stories. They're the ones who make sure those traditions stay alive.
So it's like the temples are a central part of life in those communities. And the festivals help to keep everyone connected.
Exactly. The festivals are all about joy, celebrating that shared heritage. Each temple has its own unique set of festivals, often tied to the seasons, or to important events in the lives of the deities. Like at the Hidimba Devi temple, they have a big fair every May. People come from all over.
Right, and we can't forget about the Shivratri fair at the Sri Bhutnath temple in Mandi. I've heard amazing things about it.
Oh yeah, that one is truly special. It's a time for people to honor Lord Shifai with music, dancing, offerings, and then there's Kuli Dusera, where they bring all those deities together in this grand procession. It's a real spectacle.
It seems like the whole region comes alive during those festivals. It really makes you think about the power of these traditions, how they've continued to resonate with people for so long.
It's about that human need for connection, I think. Finding meaning, something that goes beyond the everyday. Those temples, they're like a link to the past, to all those stories and beliefs that have shaped people's lives for generations. They give you a sense of continuity, of belonging to something bigger.
And it's not just about following old rules blindly, is it? Those traditions change too, adapting to what people need.
Right, that's the beauty of it. They're not stuck in time. They grow, evolve along with the people who practice them.
It's amazing how these ancient temples are still so relevant today. It really shows you the power of faith.
And the importance of preserving those traditions. They're not just relics, they're living expressions of what it means to be human.
As we've been talking, I've noticed something. There are so many different deities worshipped in Himachal Pradesh. It's not just the big names like Shiva and Vishnu.
You're right. There's a whole pantheon of local deities, folk traditions. It's all woven together with those more mainstream Hindu beliefs.
Exactly. And it makes me wonder about those lesser-known deities, those hidden stories. They always seem to give you a glimpse into what a culture is really all about.
Absolutely. Remember when we talked about the Mahanag temple? Dedicated to an incarnation of Karna from the Mahabharata?
Yeah.
Well, he's a great example of a local deity who's become really important in the region. People see him as a god of justice, a protector.
I can see why. Karna is a tragic figure, but he always stayed true to what he believed in. Duty, loyalty, compassion, those themes resonate with everyone.
Exactly. And then there's Shakti Devi, the goddess of hunters. Remember that roofless temple? She shows how people's beliefs were tied to their everyday lives, their environment, their survival.
Right. These deities weren't just abstract ideas. They were part of people's actual experiences. Which makes me think, are there any temples in Himachal Pradesh dedicated to non-Hindu deities? We talked about Buddhist influence earlier, so.
Great question. And it takes us right back to the Rewalsar complex, the perfect example of how different religions come together. Hindu temple for Shiva, Buddhist monastery for Guru Padmasambhava, and a Sikh Gurdwara, all in the same space.
So it's not just about different traditions within Hinduism, it's about different faiths entirely. It's like a perfect picture of the tolerance you see in the region.
You got it. And that openness is there in other temples too, like the Trilonath temple. Hindus and Buddhists both go there. And of course, there are all those Buddhist monasteries all over Himachal Pradesh, especially in Lahal and Spiti. That's where Tibetan Buddhism is really strong.
It's amazing how all those faiths are woven together across the landscape, each one adding to the spiritual feel of Himachal Pradesh. As we're wrapping up our deep dive, I have to say I'm really impressed. Not just by the architecture and the stories, but by how important faith and creativity are in these temples.
Me too. What I find so inspiring is how those temples aren't just stuck in the past. They're reminders that people always want to connect with something bigger than themselves, to find meaning, especially when things are uncertain.
That's something we can all relate to. Those temples show how much we all want to connect with each other, with beauty, with something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. Even if we don't follow the same beliefs, we can still look at those temples and see the artistry, the devotion, the effort that people put into them.
Well said. And to everyone listening, I encourage you to check out the temples of Himachal Pradesh for yourselves. Explore them, learn about their stories, experience the traditions that make them special. Who knows, maybe one day you'll be standing in front of those eternal flames at Jwalamukhi or hiking up to that roofless Shakti Devi temple. It's magical.
And remember, this is just the beginning. There are so many more stories to discover, so many mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Keep that curiosity alive. Keep looking, keep exploring.
And until next time, keep diving deep.